Peace. Okay, first class of 2024. So let's see what you all bring. All right. Anybody has any questions for me about anything about the two previous classes that were about health, about nutrition? You let me know. We'll go through it. Okay.
Yo, I apologize, y'all.
No, that's peace, God. That's peace.
God, I'm trying to tell this God, look, we got an unruly child.
Let me know if anybody has any questions about anything. I'm here. I was just building with the God. That's why I muted everything. I was, talking about a situation. Um, but yeah, anything that anyone wants to talk about, I gave very distinct lessons the last 2 weeks. So I want to open it up for people's questions. Um, how we've in this, and we're not complete with the first week, but to me, those first 3 days, like when I look at a week, people look at Monday and like, oh, we got to start again. But if we have to live to the end of the week, and we often do, right? Even myself, who has very unorthodox schedule. In other words, it's a very strict schedule, but it's not really 9 to 5. It's not a 9 to 5 at all. Because of everyone else in my life, particularly my children, work for that weekend. You want to take the beginning of the week and have certain goals that you shoot forward with. You don't wait to the middle of the week to start training. You don't wait to the middle of the week to start getting some reading in. You shoot out the box. And this is what I want everybody to be doing, though. I need everybody to be saying, listen, Monday starts that week. I'm going to shoot out the box immediately. Okay? So even if I can't do it continuously throughout the entire week, Monday, I shot out. I shot out the box. You deliberately try to wake up early. You deliberately try to get certain things ahead of schedule. This is the mentality that gets things done. You know what I'm saying? There's no need to talk about it. Everybody, I think, knows what I spoke about at the end of last week's class session. But that kind of fury is is important, though. You know what I mean? All right, peace to the earth, wisdom infinite. I'm finishing my book, The Real of 2023, and there's a lot of albums I'm behind in, for said reasons, and I'm finishing it all up, and I really got to dissect your albums, and they were brief, they were concentrated, they were supreme, they were amazing. I was blown away, blown away. Just great stuff. You know what I mean? So check the Earth out, Backward Sweetie. Just really, really great stuff. You know what I mean? The voice power, the power. The command. The word usage. Just really great stuff. You know what I mean? Great stuff. You know. But yeah. Anybody has any questions about anything? I feel like I went through those plus lessons. About health. I went through the Living Foods protocol. I haven't emailed everybody. Everything is on kind of a standstill for me because I'm trying to finish this book project. Okay. So I have a very long 3 days here to try to get it done. Four. I'm trying to get it done by the time next week comes. It's ready for release though. So always a difficult book. Always a difficult book to write. And I'm still working on mastering it though. You know, it's a pain in the ass though. Because you try to write about a lot of music though, but it's like a perfume shop. You know what I'm saying? So after a while, your mind doesn't want to hear any of that type of music. In this case, hip hop. That's also important too when we're trying to set our goals though, because if you have reading goals, writing goals, everyone should have a reading goal. No one should be like, well, that's not my thing. Sunez is a writer, author, so he should be writing and stuff. All of us, though, are saying with a true and living God, true and living earth, righteous people with a knowledge of ourselves, whether you black, brown, yellow, white. That means that we're expected to be sharp, we're expected to know things, and you should have some type of reading material that you engage in. With that said, you should also be gauging how much you read, how much you should be gauging also the activities of other things. You know, how much television you watch. Like sometimes people will watch this TV, you know, Netflix, whatever it is, and it'll be under the very seemingly good excuse that I spend my nights watching this because I just don't have the energy to do anything else. Um, that's an extremely poor excuse. If you don't have the energy to read or write or train, but you can stay up late and watch some good stuff. And mind you, listen, I got almost every app. You know what I'm saying? I be telling people, look, I'm looking at my phone right now. I got Disney, Peacock, Prime, Netflix, Hulu, Pluto, Max, and of course, like we all supposed to have Tubi. I got all of these apps though. You know what I'm saying? In fact, I tell people my twin brother has a collection of over 2,000 movies that he gives me digital access to, and he keeps collecting by the week, you know, and when he does that, there's just so much to watch. So I'm not saying that it's a bad thing to watch things, although you know that's what you watch too. You know what I'm saying? Um, you should be gauging that. If you're not getting enough reading, writing, training in, but you find yourself watching like maybe an hour, 2 to 3 hours of television, trade that up. You either start reading, get yourself acclimated, um, start training, do something, because it's not about how long you train, it's about how intense you train. Okay. Anybody emails me and stuff, I can give you a short program that it'll get you about 15 minutes and you'll be done. It's very, very simple. Very, very simple. You know, because there are certain exercises that'll really get you in. But anyway, point being though, when I find myself not able to do anything, and it's usually keeping it real, it's usually because I did enough during that day. I did a lot. But if I felt I can do more, I need to do more, and I can't, what I'll do is actually I'll try to go to sleep. I'll just go to sleep. You know what I'm saying? And if it's the times is off, I'll wake up earlier, and that'll be the reading time. You know. So instead of watching extra TV at night, I go to sleep earlier if I have no energy to do anything qualitative, and I wake up to train or to write, train or to read. You know, is mainly what I wake up to do. You know what I mean? Usually training, but if it's too early, I wake up to do that. So what I'm saying is, this time of year, and it, you know, you got to get the habits though. It's winter. There's no, there's not as much incentives to just be outside enjoying the weather and everything that's outside. So um, if you get yourself, to do that, you know, you'll be much better off. You know? That's peace. That's peace. All right. So D'Anthony, peace. So I want everybody to start building. If you're trying to build with me, then email me, ask me specific questions, develop your questions. Kasim, peace. Um, you know what's interesting is that usually sometimes I see stupid things on Facebook about this knowledge, and by the time it comes Thursday, I never remember it. You know, I never remember the stupidity. But I will say this though, because it's something I vaguely remember. Um, if you think that throwing your builds or arguing on Facebook and stuff about what's what and who's who, you're really wasting your time though. Okay? Facebook and the social media is a way to express yourself and to communicate with people, but it is not a teaching form, no matter how much you think it is. You're teaching people that are all old. There are no children there. There usually no teenagers in the ciphers, especially if you're on Facebook. Though you're just talking to other people that say that they got it, and I say that very specifically. Say that they have this knowledge, then it's a lot of wasting time. You know what I'm saying? I see people argue about who got it right, who got it wrong, and I don't see one major person in those discussions go, "What's your tree? How did you get it?" You know, like in other words, the conversations don't go the way real life is supposed to go. Okay? And it doesn't matter about who's right or wrong in the situation. When you're around people that say they have the knowledge and you have discrepancy about how you see something, the first thing is to say, who are you? What's your tree? And how do you see certain things? And then what happens is that we have a cipher where some people know each other's trees, know each other in some way, and have validated them for themselves. And then a lot of other people that it's not, you know, and we're either supposed to be teaching someone or we're supposed to be creating things. And I'm sorry to say that, you know, it's like Firstborn Prince said, like, if you're just teaching your kids and shit, that's fine. You know, that's fine. That's a very difficult thing to do. You know, that's a very difficult thing to do. The way I teach my children is in the long play. I teach them in a long roundabout way so they see things. I don't bombard them. But they're different types of minds, and I know them very well. And it's important about giving everyone something that they can use. Okay. But I see people arguing about how they got it, how well they have it, how strong they are with it. Nobody else has it like me. Nobody has this knowledge like me. And if you had it like me, you wouldn't be doing this, that. It's all these phantom situations and stuff. I don't know how someone could be on Facebook or social media all day and be inspired by such barnyard builds, you know what I mean? Such generic stuff, you know? And it's offensive what I'm saying though, but I got a couple of videos that are not from these sessions here that are being released in there. And I'm about to offend a lot of people. So I might as well keep going, you know? I might as well keep going. Um, and say the truth as it is. I'm going to say this again though. Today's the culture day. What's our culture? You know? The way of life of our culture, though, is that we have this knowledge of self and we are being what? Righteous, meaning that our moves have a manner to them. They have a principle that is behind them in the way that we make our decisions. We work to teach it to other people, but we also spend time saying, how am I a creator? How am I creating this world anew? And we think about this. We're not just saying this shit. Okay? Again, I see stuff and I'm like, who would want to hear that? You know, who would want to hear that? Nobody wants to hear that stuff. All right. Peace to God, King. Come on. All right. Yeah. Okay. I was still for a minute. I don't know if that just confused you. I was reading something right now. Looking through my things here. Um, okay. All right. Let me know if anybody has any questions or builds. I want to see where people are at, though. What they expect out of this. You know, people are here online. Um, as we continue to build, as students start to come to me regularly here in the classroom, um, as opposed to just building outside of the classroom. Um, I want to see what people online would like to build about. Okay, so this is important though. I'm trying to work both ways this year. Um, yeah. Okay. All right. Everything seems to be working here. So that's peace, Kasi. Okay. All right. If there are people on this though that have it knowledge 120 though, let me know so I can give you some uh, things to think about, um, things to focus on, things to research. I'm still thinking. I made a 1 to 36 sheet. It's not really an answer sheet. I don't want to do stuff like that. I don't want to do. I don't do plus lessons where I'm just going to give out something and like that. But I called it build notes, and they're just basically. I have it open now, but just some ideas about it. Um, Information that was taught to me that most people just wouldn't get by just reading the said lesson. You know. Um, and it also came with a bridged means shortened book list, just so people could start thinking about these concepts, you know. And then so it's a strong. If you're on the 1 to 36, I'm still thinking about making something like this for the 1 to 10, and I might do that because I haven't, and I think that it would help, and do it with all the lessons. But I just don't want to give answers. That's no good. I want to make something that's like that, to kind of help you develop your questions, provoke a better research, right? As we provoke a better research, then these things will actually be useful to us. All right. you ex- expect the new Sunez Allah to incorporate within my culture so I can free myself from all this whack music out here. Yeah. Oh man. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I have to work on it. It's something I'm not going to work on now. Probably work on it starting the end of January and stuff. It seems like a hard thing to do, but I know when I start writing, it'll be easy though. Just to get people on the ball. Sometimes people don't know which books to go to for certain things. Um, what to look for in a degree. You know what I'm saying? And then I have people like looking at degrees though, and they have to spend all like the rest of their years, months, and days trying to figure out cream of the planet Earth. So the abstract parts of the degree get obsessed over instead of really seeing the understanding. You know, right? So that's important. Um, I think that people that build on the 1 to 10, like this is just me, but I think that when we build on the 1 to 10, though, it's important. Um, I wasn't allowed to move forward past the 1 to 10 until I could prove the knowledge degree as myself. Okay. Figure out things like the ratios of numbers. Like these are questions that would be in there because I think I'll structure it kind of like a workbook too. Because I don't want to give the answer, right? But things that'll be written in there is like if the lesson's written circa 1934, then what was 551 years ago at the date of that writing, right? This is important. This is stuff that people still don't subtract. I don't understand why. um, well, I started with the 1 to 36, right? I did the 1 to 36, and I didn't do anything else. Um, and that's why I say 1 to 10. I'll probably start with the 1 to 10, then do the 1 to 14, and then do the 1 to 40, which is big juggernaut, you know. So that's So I'll probably I'm when I do the 1 to 40, I'll probably do it in sets, like the first 20 and then the next 20, and maybe like that. When I finally get to do them, But that would be. I think that would be useful. What I have found though is that I encounter more and more people that have the lessons, may have memorized them, but they weren't taken through them. They weren't taken, you know, taken through them with the fine tooth comb. They didn't have that study, you know. So they're missing certain things that usually get asked. You're also missing things that there are certain types of questions someone that first gets through certain sets asks. And if you don't have anyone to ask those questions to, they kind of get lost or superficially answered, and that could be a problem as well, you know. And then also the main thing, how to use them. You learn what they mean and stuff, but how to use them, you know. And some people don't get the meaning of certain degrees, and there's some of the more simple degrees, you know, and that's because they weren't around that, whatever it is, they weren't around elders, like I have a privileged position, but they weren't around elders. So what happens is you tend to look um, too deeply into things and not see the simplicity of it, you know? Yeah. Yeah, and the way that I build with you, King Kamal, is different than I would build with everybody. So if I did like a sheet, it wouldn't even be like the way we build. Because I'll tell you stuff that most people aren't really, they're not ready for. They have to have it for a while to know it. See that. So like it would be different. But when you're on the 1 to 40, there's certain things, like I have a couple of students that I teach though, and it's a lot like this. I have many students that I didn't give them 120, so they're getting 120 from somebody else, but I'm not really sure what they're getting. I don't know what they're getting from it. Like they're not really getting anything, you know? And yeah, because see, Kasim, we're supposed to attack complexities with this instead of making it complex. There's, and you usually see the latter, you don't see the former, where somebody could attack something very, very complex. And what also could be detrimental is that we know this ethos of keeping it simple. And what happens is that people then try to do the ethos, but they don't really have an understanding. So they end up simplifying things, and most of the understanding is dismissed, not delved into. So that also happens too. They end up trying to go for a simple, succinct, meaning brief and compact build. What they really end up having though is just like a very incomplete build. I see that a lot too. So that's important too. And I'm speaking in very general terms here. You know, um, but my thing is this: like, where is this? Where are we teaching this though as a daily life? You know what I'm saying? Are we able to teach the principles that are in degrees overtly and teaching the people without having to take them to a damn discourse about being a 5%er, something that we know that person might not be? And I feel like people are building more for recruitment than actually sharing understanding that comes from the knowledge that they have. That's not what we do here. Like I'm here at the school and I don't do that. You know what I'm saying? I'm here at the school and I don't do that. You know? And yes, today the heat is not good here today. You know? I wore the right sweater, so you got the pouch in it. All right, 793rd piece. Indigo piece. I totally missed that. All right. So, this is important. Yeah, because algorithms give me a lot of arguments, you know? Let me see. I have some notes. I have to collect notes that I've written in different places also to make this, to start with the 1 to 10, you know? There's also something that I have, though, how to build with degrees in general, for yourself. Um, All right. All right, let me find this plus letter. I was answering a text here from my daughter. Where is it? It's all right. So I had two of them, right? I spoke about these. I realized I spoke about these a long time ago, and some people have them. Not everybody does. It's a long time ago. All right. One is called the Justice Curriculum. That's just a diversity of subjects that people should be studying. Sometimes people is what they should be studying. That's not really the focus. But there's also a thing in my road called the Justice Bill. Okay. And I call them justice because there's 10 things in the thing. Um, Superficially, though, it seems simple. Things to focus on when you're studying degrees, though. I'll just give you the list. The 10 things: vocabulary, history, science, abstract versus concrete. Remember, like cream of the planet Earth, right? This is how you end up seeing something. Titles offered, right? Maker, the owner, that's an example. Today's reality, okay? In other words, when they wrote the lesson, and how would that differ if it was today? uh, Timing of the lesson, all these things. Right? Common ancestry. Okay. Um, in other words, where in other teachings are things written similar to this, though? Right? Because one part of scholarship, though, is consistency. I'll talk about that in a minute. 120 reference. In other words, what other degrees also speak about the same issues? Now, this isn't for proof. This is just for to broaden the scope of clarity. All right, but one degree isn't to be used to prove another. All right, 9, supreme mathematics. Right, how does it accord with supreme math? Right, what number is it? And then the 10th thing is your understanding. Though, at every moment you should be gauging your understanding. Sometimes it's not there. Sometimes it is. If it's not there, it should be in the. You should then have questions about the degree. I mean, it's always one or the other. Okay, you have a degree you don't have a real understanding of, but you have no questions. It means you have been lazy and have not completed the work at that said moment. You should either put into words what it is you're not getting about this in any kind of fashion, or you have some type of understanding that you are ready to share about it. Oftentimes, though, in things, it's usually a combination of both. All right. Um, yeah, what I meant when I said, about coincidence, this is something too about scholarship. Uh, we do this a lot with math. Mathematics can get religious, though, when you do this with supreme math. When you see the consistency of things, people assume that is true. They use the number 7 for this. They use the number 7 for that. That 7 is here, 7 is there. That's coincidence. That is a spark to the direction of scholarship, like where are you going to research. But it is not the final. It is not a final proof. The fact that they did things in sevens, 7-step pyramid, 7 this, 7 that, does not mean that the 7 is a holy number. You just proved that it is considered holy. You didn't prove what it really, really means. So, so that's important, though. Okay. All right. Peace to the God Rakim. Why is the Dome TV? All right. I'm relaxed here. I want to see what people are doing. I want to see if people are shooting out the gates with things. My brother Rakim is shooting out the gates with stuff with Why is the Dome TV. You know what I mean? Um, we should always be intense about things. We should either be, in the lab developing, or we should be out there sharing things. It's one or the other, you know. But that's a big thing. I just had this idea today. Like, if you're going on social media to build, I guarantee you have weak builds. I don't give a shit what you're building on. If you had some revelation about something and need to share it on Facebook, it means that you're not teaching anybody to go. There's a possibility you don't have anybody to share it with. But if there's nobody to teach this knowledge to, like you're around and there's nobody to teach it to, there's nobody that in your cipher, they're ready for this and that. That doesn't mean that your cipher is corrupt. I'm not saying that. Because you may have tried with all the youngins and stuff and it's not ready and whatever it is. But here's what it does mean. It means you got to be comfortable, not just blathering all your shit out. Okay? And a lot of times, though, the way to express yourself, though, isn't to just go blurt out what you think is an understanding. It's to go out there and make an understanding an actual work of culture. Give culture to the people. If you build and you say how you see certain degrees, you don't have nobody to build deeply and share this deep shit, and it has to be a post, it has to be a tweet. That's not what this is. Okay? The Father, though, he didn't stand on a pulpit and just yell out things. That means the power was refined. The power was very focused. Okay? A lot of times people throw builds out there, whether they're wrong or right. But I get like this with the right ones. I'm like, that's not for the world. I don't know how shitty their algorithm is, though, that only so-called 5%ers will read it. Who knows? I don't know. Because these algorithms are evil. But it's just preaching to the choir at best, wouldn't it? And if you were throwing something out to develop it and stuff like that, that ain't the place to do that. The social media is not a laboratory. Contrary to how the 85 use it, the social media is not a laboratory for you to experiment with high explosives. I wasn't sure if it was correct, but if I threw it out there, then somebody would correct it. If you're getting this knowledge, though, and you're doing that, don't let me find it, though, because I'm gonna bomb you. I'm gonna bomb you. That's not building. Okay, that's not building. Somebody's reading that and using it all wrong, seeing complete misunderstanding from it. All right. So this is my gripe today. All right. All right. So some of these builds, I think when I start to make these, and anybody keeps asking for them, when I start to make these little study sheets, they're kind of like study sheets for I'm gonna do it for the 1 to 10. I'll eventually do it to all the degrees. I'm not giving myself a due date for that, but that's what I would really like to do. I think it's time to do that. I think it would help a lot of people, like the 1 to 36 one I did, and it certainly goes with the justice build for the mentality of how to build, the way to build, what to immediately focus on. Just some of the immediate things to focus on. All right. What's interesting? God saying that methodology is real important because people don't really do. One of the most important things about being a 5%er, though, because I saw some posts like this where people find it hard and things like that. It is very difficult. It is very difficult to teach, to have this knowledge, to make decisions that other people won't understand, that seem to deny you, but are really about principle. This happens to me. This has been happening to me since I got the knowledge. So it's still that continues to happen, and people don't understand it. And unlike a lot of other 5%, I am given many opportunities to literally sell out, and that has been a constant theme. Methodology is important, especially when it comes to how we share certain things, because you'll burn yourself out. you'll burn yourself out, even with the right understanding shared at the right time. Okay, so you have to know how to prepare this though and know what you're doing with it. But I feel, if I could say one thing, we're in wisdom culture, so I keep thinking of unknown in the alphabet. you know, and I was just doing an alphabet game with my youngest, and with the supreme alphabet, and I explained to her, unknown is where we're comfortable in, that we're always creating things. And so we have to be, if we create things, we have to be comfortable in the unknown, at the point where we go and no one will know what is going to be until we create it. All right. You know? So that's important though. See, King Kamal, like the builds you throw up, a lot of them are really great. I haven't seen you throw up a build and it was incomplete, not used. I would have told you. Because you always throw them and you throw them my way first and we build on it and stuff. And then, you throw it out there and stuff. I don't find a problem with that, because you're making a cipher for people to know about you. And you have a gift for building in such a way where people that don't deal with this knowledge can still use what you're saying. This is very rare. What I mean though is like rants. I see a lot of builds that come up as rants and stuff. And everybody is so official. And one of the keys to this methodology is the way that you deal with your mentality. And we could burn ourselves out that way. You know what I'm saying? Because of the way you build, King Kamal, you don't get that kind of confrontation. Everybody gets darts, but people confronting and saying this and that. I see that more on Facebook for some reason. And people usually preface their so-called build with idea that they got it right and this and that. And I'm like, if you got it right, then why are you here sharing that? It's just showing that you got it right. I don't see any work. I don't see, I don't see any people doing any work with the 85. You know what I mean? I don't see any of that though. I just see a lot of huddling. And we talk about and we argue about algorithms, but we make our own algorithms. You know what I'm saying? We make our own algorithms doing that kind of stuff. So it's important to have that. Also, too, right? A lot of people don't get that the build, especially on the day's mathematics and things like that, not just day's mathematics, but your builds on degrees that are necessary, especially that builds on degrees or concepts that are very important to this nation, or being a 5%er, are things to be held for you to be tested throughout your day. And what happens is that understand that there's two type of builds. There's the build that you throw out for the populace, though. For me, when I was getting knowledge, though, that was the build that I had to be ready for when I got to the school. And then usually, honestly, on the way to the school, because there'll be 5%ers on the way, And then sometimes before I even got out the door of my house, especially when I lived in P.E.A.C.E. So that's important, though. Okay? That's important. So it's important to see that the two builds, and when we have the build for the one that's right and exact, the one that we know that we could share with, maybe even share with a young person, that's for the outside world. But I need you to have, if you want to be a student at all times, you have to have a build about what you're thinking and how you're going to use certain things. What's it going to mean for you? What things are you dealing with? Personal stuff, not just emotions and things like that, but new ideas that might not be there. For me and you, King, these might be builds that you may or may not throw at me only. Because if you're like, listen, I've been thinking about this degree in a different way. That's not for everybody. But the thing is that a lot of people, when they do everything social media ready, they're either pumping their chest about how official they are and what this means and what that means, but they don't really have a build in their own storehouse, like their deeper unknown. They're deeper unknown thoughts, you know, developing that, you know. That's a powerful quote. Do you want to be all knowing or all wise? You know what I mean? I see kind of arrogance though in both of them, you know. Peace to the God. Peace to the God. Kasim, all right? The other Kasim. Peace to the God. Divine mind, peace. um, but these are things that I want people to be more comfortable working, you know, on their own. Like when I'm building, I'm very, you know, people understand though that like when I come here, I don't have rants to go through, like a whole list of rants and stuff. I have things that need to be addressed though, because they come to me, and then it has to be a rant and things like that, you know. And but I'm saying these type of things because I want our year to be different immediately, so we get used to it, you know. And what gets lost though is how are we using 120 to see deeper things that are not necessarily immediately for the world. Sometimes people won't use 120 unless they get stuff out of it that is immediately palatable to the outside world. There's no, it means that in your personal life, we have to constantly have a laboratory. You see, I keep saying though, it is not a choice anymore when you got this knowledge though. It's not a choice to read. It's not a choice to really write. You should be writing something, you know? I think it's not so much to say, I think and I'm really lowballing this, you know, I'm gonna be nice and lowball. I think we should be writing at least, I would say, I'm a lowball this. We should all have our own journals and be writing something personal about what we live, what we learn, what we think, what we study. At least 3 pages a week. At least 3 pages a week. We're the true and living gods, the true and living earths. This whole universe is ours. But there's no need for us to collect our thoughts. There's no need for us to learn how to express our thoughts with profound words and practice that. You know? Or we're not supposed to be reading anymore. You know? I don't know what culture people thought that they got themselves into. But some people think that they're educators though, and they don't read anything. They think they're educators though, but they don't know how to write anything. They're not qualified. I don't care how backwards and forwards you got 120 though. What deeper thoughts can you expound on if you can't even express your thoughts in a paper? We go back to the great elders. There were very few elders that were legendary that didn't write. So elders like didn't really write. Like let's say I'll say Freedom, Papa Wu. He didn't really write like that. You know, he's more of an anomaly than he is the standard. But people don't know that. But they all wrote, you know, the ones that were around me. You could tell me I drew them up like that because I write, but there's a lot I drew up then. Dumar, Infinite Al-Jamar. You know what I mean? Allah B. The ones you think couldn't write, they could write. Umala, right? Firstborn Prince, Firstborn Al-Jamal. They all could write. Oh, and if you notice, I don't really post builds online. I never got into social media for that, actually. You know, I didn't really get on social media to have a network with 5%ers. And that was only because I had such a big network in my life around here. I didn't think that was necessary. I do think that is necessary now, and it's wonderful. You know, but you know, if you see things as useful, then you have to be inclined to share it, God. If you have a build that you feel like, yo, I think this is useful for those that are listening, and whatever, whatever cipher I got out there, I think it's useful, then it's good to share it, right? Then it's good to share it. I don't know who this is. Who are you? AGPXYZ7 and just writing rapper names. I don't know what you're doing here. Divine Mind, you asked, how do you, I'm assuming, go about people not reading as much but listen to YouTube builds and audiobooks? They end up showing themselves. You know what I'm saying? They, how do I feel about it? It's lazy. It's lazy work. You know what I'm saying? It's lazy work. Like there are certain parts of degrees you cannot learn it on YouTube. Not very well. Like you're not gonna learn Father of Civilization by watching Sertima videos, the rare ones that are there, Diop videos, things like that. No, you have to read. You have to read their books, and you have to update yourself with the scholarship. You know. All right, Clemente, peace. You know, and again, I think Clemente, I think you emailed me, and so I did see all these emails. Okay, it is not meant to be disrespect. Okay, I just haven't been able to get through them. It's the beginning of the year. I'm always finishing that yearly book. But as soon as I finish, though, I will get to that. I don't want to give haphazard emails and stuff like that too. Um, as I go along and take breaks, if I can, I'll answer some of them. Okay. All right. But yeah, you know. Piece of the God, self-magnetic. Yeah, a lot of people. I disagree with this. I sometimes see people build, and I don't see understanding them. Like I don't see the point of throwing down all of Supreme Math on a post, or doing all that. And that's people being their character or whatever like that, and that's what they're gonna do. You know, but there has to be time for a deeper build, ones that you not share out, ones that you're working on, one that you have to find people that is ready for it to go back and forth with it. You know what I mean? This is very important though. Remember the father built by finding the individual first. You know? He looked for the individual first. When he found them, then he started to talk to him, say certain things, drop certain things on him. You know? That's not really what's happening though when you do stuff on the social media and stuff. So it doesn't mean that you don't speak on things. It doesn't mean that you don't express yourself fully. It doesn't mean that you don't express some morals, principles, even mathematically in the mathematics. You know what I mean? But it has to be done a certain way. Yeah. It is a new street corner, God, but it's an old ass street corner because the way most people's algorithms though, they're not. There's no youth there. You know, there's no youth there. People don't like rappers. They go like, oh, I don't know why he thinks you could build and stuff. But they have more of a forum of 85. So when they throw a build, it actually will do something. You know. But if you're just gonna say things like what today's mathematics is, you're being as wasteful as Lord Jamal. Like that, like what are you doing with that? Yeah, you know, this thing was taught to me. Saving knowledge used to always tell me that there's a special thing that happens once it's memorized. That something else happens, and it's different. You know, to be able to call it up means that you can call up according to certain situations, you know, and immediately see certain things. So that Okay. All right. I'm gonna be here until 8 p.m. All right. I'm gonna take a little moment now, but maybe even do some jumping jacks because I am cold. But have your builds. I want to hear some builds though. Some questions about degrees. Things like that. I hate assuming what people ought to know, and that's why I do this. I don't really like doing that. Okay. All right. You let me know. Can you guys hear me now? I feel like I was saying a whole bunch of stuff that didn't register. Let me say it again though. I want to hear people's builds. I want to see where people are at. I want to start people on the idea of how to use 120 as a reality, as a living culture. Um, what's the other? I think that we don't really know how we're using it as far as we use 120 to identify things, but we usually learn it to negatively identify things, which is, we're in a war zone. This is what it's for, right? But we often don't use it to basically see where our principles are, what they should be. Like when we look at the ninth and 10th degrees, those are in the 1 to 14. Those are actually degrees about principles and how to apply them on a large basis. You see, this is what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? This is what I'm talking about. So that's what I'm what I mean. And by the way, the latest episode I saw of Why Is It Dope TV was with Jared Bell, and that was very, very insightful. I had read the uh, what was it, the Myth and Propaganda of Black Buying Power, the first edition. It was very, very good. So I'm definitely going to read the new edition now. And I have it. So I'm definitely dive into that. Um, it got me down a Jared Bell interview rabbit hole after I saw the one on Why Is It Dome. And I saw another one where they were talking about Jay-Z though. So, that Cycle of Tribe song still remains, It's nice to see people see the understanding, you know. But yeah, it's a problem. I had the thing on mute and I didn't unmute. So don't worry, you'll hear me soon enough, thanks to the earth, I had it on mute. I repeated everything though. So no one's missing out on anything. I repeated what I said. Um, so anybody has any questions? I'm gonna be here until 8 o'clock. So that means I'm gonna be here for like a little less than 40 minutes here. All right. Divine Mind, you asked, how was Elijah able to determine that there was 2 million Indians in the wilderness of North America? What's crazy is that he might have overshot that. He might have overshot that. So I'm not going to say how he figured it out because it may not even be a correct figure even then. It's a good question though. I never saw that to be a correct figure in the research I did. Like it was so when we were taught the 1 to 10, these degrees, the third degree and the population ones, the most important thing was the proportions of the population, and the concept of who was mentioned in the populations, right? But in that time, though, there are census data. Census data exists, Census data exists, you know. What's interesting is that I see the guy Rakim get into it a lot about brothers saying that they're Indian and stuff like that. It's very similar to a lot of other original peoples. In the Caribbean, especially like Puerto Rico, Latin Caribbean, everybody says everything that they have that's darker is Indian. And nobody makes it doesn't seem as oddball because it is true, but it's not completely true, and so everything gets dismissed as having Indian, but we know that's not what's happening with that, you know. There are books by Jack D. Forbes, who was Native American, Native Americans and African Americans. I think that's Native Americans and Africans. I think that's the name of the book. Very useful book, but reads more like a reference book. It is extremely boring. I read the whole thing. It's an extremely boring read. It's not a page turner. But one of the reasons that people can do all this confusion and muddling is because the original people that they're talking about, he looks Indian, he has this, the the original peoples, right? Whether they be from Africa directly or the indigenous that were already here, they did a lot of mixing. And that was the point. I've seen people use that book to say that brothers are not from Africa and that they're from here only. And it's like they use that book, and I'm like, you didn't read that book. Like you didn't even open the shit. Like you didn't even read the intro. You know, and I saw somebody put that book there, and it was like, see, we even have books that prove that that we're not African, that we're only Native American. I'm like, the book has the opposite premise though, that the census data and the way they did judge people, they often judged a lot of African featured people as Indian on purpose. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of Indian people as African so that they could enslave them. So it depends on what they were trying to do also. You know what I mean? And then some people knew how to do it. And so people that were lighter were being recognized as what they were, indigenous, right? And then other people were not, being recognized. So like, that book is what proves that the original people were extremely mixed. There's extreme mixture. So by the 20th century, though, if you're saying that you have Native American blood, that's not necessarily false, but it's not necessarily going to be a proof that you're only from, those indigenous, migrations. You know what I'm saying? But it's like we're trying to get away from migration. You know what I'm saying? That's very interesting. You know? Like, for example, if you say, like, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Cubans, if you say that you're Arawak, right? We're from that's the major tribe that was there, the Arawaks. The Arawaks were already they were migratory tribes, so they had already come from South America and gone up. You know what I'm saying? So it's all original people at different times and everything, But I find that amusing though when I see all that stuff that Rakim be sharing and bombing and stuff. You know what I mean? So like it goes back to the question people ask me about YouTube scholarship. There is no YouTube scholarship. There's no YouTube scholarship because nobody goes, listen, this guy's scholarship is really good. And I like to see some YouTube videos on him while I don't know, prepare a meal or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Nah, that's the whole thing. Like, that's not how I use YouTube. Like, you use YouTube like this, right? I think I need to have some more quality reading. And I'll go through Wise the Dome. Let's say somebody could go through Wise the Dome that has quality scholarship, and he interviewed, let's say, Gerald Horne. Now I go through Gerald Horne, who has like about 20, 30 books. And now that's where I'm going to go. That's supposed to lead you to the books, not be the books, So, but I've never heard anybody really be a builder though, and that's all they did. And let me tell you something: the origin of YouTube scholars is right here on 125th Street. Before there was any of that shit, all these guys that are on YouTube and everything that became the guys, they were all here talking that shit before, and they were selling their stuff as VHS cassettes, and they had no builds then, and they didn't read no books like they thought they did. They were saying that they went to Africa and they did this trip and everything. And I'm like, that I don't care if you was like, I don't care if you took pictures by a pyramid though. That's still not scholarship though. I don't care if you went, like you saw, you went to Egypt and you met some Egyptians that swear that they're the ones that made the pyramids and not you Africans and things like that. None of that shit is scholarship. That shit's a visit though. That shit's a visit. You're a tourist though. You ain't even get to go in there. So like if you're dealing with people that deal with YouTube scholarship though, that means you're dealing with somebody that is really trying to get fast info. Be learned quickly, and they can hold themselves in these ciphers here. And a lot of times what we don't get though is that we see ourselves with knowledge of self. We don't get that other people want to have a knowledge of themselves without doing the work. So how can they get that quickly? You know, how can they have a character and an identity that has some kind of structure? You know, you be thinking that the foolery is not without a purpose though. That has got a great purpose, man. You go through some videos and say some dumb shit, but you say it consistently enough, and now you have a character, you have a persona. You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing, you know. All right, let's see what. Oh yeah, God, you said they do that with. They came before Columbus too. You know what's funny? I built with Indians, like real Native Americans and different tribes and shit. And of course, the African brothers that are denying being from Africa, um, and they both use that book the wrong way in different ways. And it's like they didn't read this shit. They didn't read the shit. Like even what you know, and Sertima's interesting, right? Because Sertima, it was one of the greatest methodologies because his whole point when he wrote books was that he doesn't have the answers and he's expecting things to enlighten or expand and even debunk some of the things that he's throwing in. You know, and he spent a lot of time throwing out questions as well of what needs to be done. You know, that's why he's legendary for his African presence books. He made the original mixtape scholarship books. You know what I mean? To try to get everybody's ideas and everything. You know, I've always loved that. You know, but indigenous people that are actually from here, they want to say that nobody came here until the white man, and that even degrades their own culture. Like they don't have the ability to make boats, they don't have the ability to do this, they didn't have the ability to travel anywhere, and that's not true either. You know what I'm saying? You know, and what those Sertima books, if those who haven't read them, I have PDF copies if people want them. You know, um, was always about saying that there was interaction between the different cultures. You know, but people they didn't. They clearly didn't read any of that shit. Peace to the God, Sim. Yo, powerful. You said where did those original people come from? They just didn't pop up in this continent. Poor scholarship and a lack of critical thinking. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean they have to debunk a lot of shit. You know what I'm saying? Because we know all the original people coming from Africa, including those Native Americans. But the timelines is completely disrespected, completely debunked. And so you have to get to places where, you know, like where I saw that clip you shared, Raheem, of Lord Jamal, where you was saying he was speculating, speculating that it's possible that, you know, the slavery didn't even happen and shit like that. You know, like my brothers is really on some shit, man. You know? Yeah, YouTube really is television guy. Yeah. You know? Malik, you said culture is multifaceted. I see it as one's activity, food, diet, exercise, music, dealing with children, reading, how are you home abroad, right? The more distinct as the more distinct we get about what culture is, what must it be for our families? What must it be for our children? Um, you know, then the more that we can do that. You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah. Right. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, Jay Rogers. That's right. The Sex and Race volumes. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. You know? But you know, we definitely, you know, we, you know, how to do the knowledge is something that I think that when we're teaching this culture, we have to show them how to do the knowledge, how to find information, how to validate it. That was a big thing. Wisdom Infant, you said culture is a celebration of achievements. Very interesting. Very interesting. A celebration of achievements. Creating new traditions and breaking generational curses. That may not be like the immediate focal point, but when you look at it that way, they are important fixtures of it. Because the generational curses could be as something as simple as previous traditions that no longer show and prove. Because under the culture that we deal with, right, we have to constantly show and prove that what we're doing is right and exact. And if that's not the case, though, then that has to be dealt with. You see? That has to be dealt with. You know? And see, some people, like, for example, they did it in the opposite matter, right? They said, they'll say the father did this, so we're only going to do this and not anything else. That's not challenging tradition, right? That's going backward to saying we only will do what was once done. That doesn't necessarily get to apply mathematics, though, to what mathematics was designed for, meaning the new challenge, the challenge of new ideas, the daring innovation that I always talk about, that the youth must be promoted to. That's why it's important, though. You have to have a laboratory. You have to laboratory where you build with new ideas, gather new ideas, develop them. And then if you got this knowledge, theoretically, you would have a cipher of people that you could throw these new ideas to. People think like, the understanding I have, I'm very comfortable in having understanding that other people don't really have or express it that way. But I've had a very large forum, a big cipher of elders to throw things at, right? See, this is why I'm at here trying to prepare on a very preparation mode, because what you said, powerful, is correct. To keep it simple, culture is what you do daily. But then we need people to look back, look forward, and see what is they can't really tell me what is it that they do daily. They tell me they eat, but not exactly what they eat every day. They tell you how they work their bodies out, but not exactly. They don't really have so like, what's the culture if it doesn't even have the consistency of we do this for this? You know what I'm saying? So we have to figure that out, you know? All right, Malik, you said if the prophets were unable to perform devil, how is it different from Musa? And was he unable? No, no, no. Like, reform means to make them righteous, though. Musa didn't have to reform them in that way. He just had to guide them to be useful. Okay? So that's why he taught this, he taught them, about themselves, how to, like in the culture degree in the 114, build a home for themselves. He didn't teach them to be carpenters. He taught them how to interact with society and be allowed in and be a crucial part. Be allowed to make a home there, to be part of the society, though. Wow, not losing the ultimate nature that they had of causing devilish, causing disruption, surviving themselves by manners of blood sucking. Because you have to teach them how to blood suck, because the mosquito doesn't take all the blood. You know what I'm saying? The leech doesn't take all the blood, right? The bloodsucker doesn't kill its host. I was building about that with Malik one day, right, Malik? Right? So that's the difference, you know. Rakim, you said, where did the recipes for what you eat come from? I don't know if you're asking me that about recipes. I don't think about what I eat as far as recipes. You know, I have a very regimented diet, so it's extremely functional. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really have recipes. Like I don't be like today I'm making this and that. Nah, it's all warrior. You know, in the fields diet. You know what I'm saying? Like this is like I'm dealing more with foods. You know, this tempeh is for this. This salad is these greens are for this. For the protein, for the chlorophyll. You know what I'm saying? These nuts and seeds are for this. You know, these are my sweets. The un you know without chemicals, sans chemicals, dried fruit. You know, so I eat very functionally in that kind of way. I don't really be preparing a meal. You know, like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not opening no cookbook and doing shit. You know, it's about particular meals, what goes together with what can be eaten that is right and exact. You know what I mean? And then but the majority of people could not eat the way I eat, though. You know, they would get bored. You know, they would get bored. You know, So but there's a lot of like in my collection. I have lots of vegan cookbooks and things like that and stuff. You know what I mean? But I don't care to do all that. You know, my best food preparation is if I make something for my children. You know what I'm saying? You know, and really my little one, because my oldest though is, man, she's a chef. She's training to be a chef, so she don't need me anymore with that. You that's right, a record, yeah, a mental track record, right? 793, you said how I'm living internally as well externally, directly impacting all within my reality. Everything from what I do, treat people, influence, change, inspire, and lead, which all lay foundation for force and power to drive. Right. I see that. I see that. You see how the culture has to be so worthy that it can lead to power. Mm, okay. That was a question for Wisdom Infinite. I'm not following here. Okay, that's peace. That's peace. Okay. Because Sunnis ain't got no recipes, though. Okay, okay, Malik. 793, you said, how come um, all of these cats who don't believe, so to speak, that the slave trade never happened, yet don't have any records of original languages and ways like the Choctaw original people in this wilderness? Yeah, it's crazy. Okay, that's peace. Yeah, you answered it better than me though. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I really eat like I really eat like it's war. So like and I the foods I eat are so simple. So like if I have cashews and this is if I have cashews, uh, hazelnuts, almonds, that's like gourmet snacks for me. Like heavy snacks. Add on. Peace, God. So like I don't really be getting like that. Peace to the God. All right. So I don't really go heavy into the preparation. And then my youngest daughter is very simple eater. Very simple eater. She eats really great, but she's simple. So she tends to like things done simply. So that helps me. And like I said, my oldest is not, but she knows how to really cook. But so it becomes easier like that. But I'm always thinking about what's needed, the protein, ratios, the fat ratios, all of these things. You know what I'm saying? And I make it so that way, even if I overeat, it's food of such a high quality that I'll be able to temper myself, you know, and I'm gonna feel exactly what is bothering me, what is not in each thing that I'm having, you know. Yeah. Bro. Okay, man. Let's see what we have here. All right. Well, you should. Everything is working on this side. Everything is good. Okay. All right. Let's see. Is Vega protein powder good for you? From what I've seen, that's a good selection. Let's pull that up though, so I can tell you what's in it. I've used this many times though, so I never trust anything though. So if I used it 2 months ago, I read it again. All right. So I'm just gonna open up a Vega protein powder they have on Amazon. In fact, I had actually bought this. It says another variation. I had to bought. This is the vanilla one. I had bought the chocolate one about a month ago. No, no, not a month ago. A few months ago. Yeah, okay, ingredients. Pea protein, pea starch. I'm not crazy about starch. The cocoa powder, acacia gum is okay. Coconut oil powder, stevia is very good. Natural flavors, sea salt, xanthan gum, rosemary. Said this is pretty good. This is good. This will be okay for you. Not perfect, but it's good. Um, okay. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's funny. When you say that powerful, like I see that. Like I especially appreciate it more seeing the way my daughter cooks and everything. And she's a baker. She's trained to be a baker, so it's very mathematical. And very precise, very particular. Even as it has your own special, add-ons to it, it's still very precise. You know, I just care about the ultimate formula of what it does. You know, and because I spend so much time writing and reading, and I want every moment of free time to be able to do that. I tend to try to be extremely efficient in everything else. You know what I'm saying? Everything else. All right, so I'm gonna be here for another 10 minutes and everything. And listen, if people have questions that they're not worried about, though, I need you to ask me. Okay? I put my email here and everything for people to ask me things personally and build with on another level, because that's the next level to this classroom. It isn't just here; it's the next level. You know what I mean? Um, okay, yeah. I'm gonna get to all those. I'm very late in all the emails because I'm really trying. I need to finish this book. Um, but then I'll get to that. You know what I'm saying? But I have people think that they're the true and living God, and then they email me questions that are so out there that when I tell them that they disqualify themselves, they're not really trying to hear it. You know what I mean? Like, yo, and I just want people to. I'm going to tell you this story because it happened this week. King Kamon knows the story, and yo, God is crazy, guy, because I want people to feel comfortable to ask me things. You know what I'm saying? But by showing you how crazy it could get, because I know nobody that really cares is going to ask me stuff like this. But like, you know, people want to train and shit, and they're like, don't live here, and they're like, I want to train and kung fu with you and shit like that. And I'm like, I gotta see first if you're not trying to just kill people with whatever we give you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even know you. Like, if that's not even the thing that you should be trying to get from me immediately. You know what I'm saying? Because if you wanted to know some fighting and shit like that, honestly, if you smart though, you could do some autodidact shit and work out. You know what's funny, guy? Because we do kung fu. If you gotta learn martial arts with somebody, fighting styles of some kind with somebody. But one of the best ways to if you can't is to prepare your body so well, right, that when you get a little bit of learning, it goes a long way. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. So like, you're not gonna be a boxer watching some shit on TV. I don't care how many IG clips of keeping it, like none of that. You gotta see how it works. But if you do a whole boxer's regimen of working out that you could find anywhere, oh yeah, you'll get yourself so sharp that if you ever get like a little bit of money or time and both collide to be able to learn with somebody, a little bit will go a long way. You know what I'm saying? If people get themselves in shape, they'll bring themselves to the place that they could learn. You'll want to invest in that. You get in, you train intensely to get your body in shape. You'll start to see like, you know what? I'm doing all this, and I really feel like I should be doing this now. Because some people, they're not in shape yet, and they want to learn kung fu and shit. They get in shape, or they start to try to get in shape, and then now you realize like, I ain't really with this shit like that. They're not really with that. But I had this guy saying this shit, but then all of a sudden he asked me out of the blue. I'm like, I already know like these are wasteful builds. I could tell. And he asked me, is it okay to just use prostitutes to get women, like to deal with women? This is what he asked me. Right? And I said no. Like, why is that the option here? Like, you can't talk to somebody? You're saying to me, now I didn't say this to you. I don't know you. I didn't qualify you, nothing like that. You're saying you're the God. You're saying you have a righteous name and everything. And you're just talking to me like an elder and shit. And he goes, nah, it's just, it cuts away a lot of the problems and the things like that. And I'm like, yo, contrary to what they say that the woman is the hardest person to teach because they're already grown, whatever. Yo, we're not the true and living gods, though, if we take away human interaction from the shit that we doing. If we just say like, yo, I want to be with women, but I don't want to deal with them. Well, then you know what? Just wait in line for AI to fix that shit for you. Wait for AI to make a robotic bitch so you could do your thing with that. But don't say you're the true and living God, because it's about interaction with humanity. And no matter how difficult you think a woman might be, the whole point of this devil civilization is that we deal with humanity. That would be the same thing as like, I'm tired of teaching these 85s and shit. I'm not, I'm just going to post things on social media and say builds on social media. And if you like it, then you get this knowledge. And I did my teaching. Nah, man, take this shit off. Take this shit off. Take the flag off. Take that righteous name shit off. He goes, you know what? You would say something like that. That's what he said to me. You would say something like that because, you and Darkim know, like you got the knowledge. So you got pimp powers and shit. Yo. And you could get whatever you want because you got the knowledge and shit like really good. I ain't never heard some dumb shit like that. Weirdo shit. And I was like, first of all, if you really got this knowledge though, then you know what you could do with this, you know. And there's many brothers with the knowledge though that they learned this. I'm gonna say they learned it and they use it and they blood suck with it. You know what I'm saying? But this guy's saying like we got it though, so we could blood suck and get women cheap and shit like that. Yo, he don't even know. The more that you know, the harder it is. Not easier. The harder it is, not easier. But you can't. One thing I learned from Wise Jamel, God, and you knew Wise Jamel too, God. Wise Jamel loved the 85. He loved people. This whole point of like separating ourselves or trying to be elite outside of everything. That's what, you know what I'm saying? That's what hurts us. You know what I'm saying? So that's some flim flam, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not macking out there, you know, just so people don't think, you know, like yeah, I made records now, God. So like now I'm getting groupies and shit. Like, nah, it's not even like that. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is, I said all that story, which was to me was very hilarious.
You really rapping out here, Lord. I can't believe it when I hear it, Lord. Yo.
Yeah, come on, man. He locked me in the boot.
That's amazing, God.
Oh, thank you, God. Thank you. And but the thing is that I want people to feel comfortable to take the next step to ask questions, like, you know, like Malik be asking me questions though, you know, and he'll ask me questions at all hours of stuff. They're not always the hours that I want to be doing shit. They're hours when I gotta go to sleep or very late. And so I take the time to answer them when I can. But they're excellent questions. They're the kind of probing questions that show somebody is really looking at the degrees, trying to learn them, applying them. This is how you learn. I used to be here all day, all night with the elders, you know? All day, all night. You know what I'm saying? So if I put my email out there, that means ask me the questions that you have. Don't let them linger. You know what I'm saying? Don't let them linger because it's a problem. Peace to True Cipher, brother. All right? That's peace, God. That's peace. I'm glad that helped. Yeah. I'm definitely not soon enough. I'm going to start making it for the 1 to 10 and the rest of 120, you know? Slowly but surely. Something that's useful, but not just giving answers. I want you to have like a study sheet, you know? Right? But what I'm saying is, though, is that what I'm saying is this, right? People that really are sincere about this are worried about what to ask me. Whereas there's other people that are just out there and ask me all types of oddball shit and showing that they're not really built for any kind of discipline, for anything. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, if you have something you want to ask. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to be a student of mine. You don't have to be, if you're watching this and there's something else you want to ask, you can ask that. That's what I'm saying, you know, and I'm gonna leave it at that and end this class session like that, you know, and that's what it is, you know what I mean? That's what it is, and more updates about what we'll do and all that as we go along. Okay, all right. So with that said, I'm gonna say peace to everyone and keep building.